They get a single, they get more than a single, they've done enough. It's the Eagles. Vitality Blast 2019 Champions.
There's been a lot of talk about Gooch's era, Fletcher's era. Now we've won Division 1, we can say that, you know, we're actually starting to build our own era.
And that is the moment they have decided to shake hands. And the county championship is on its way back to Chelmsford.
Essex skittled for 96 as Borthwick Ton piles on the pain. After first round draws with a culmination of 4 days' work for both of these sides, champions Essex then hosted Durham, looking to stamp some authority on their title defence with a first win of the season. But they'd be forced to do so without Nick Brown. Out early, third ball to Chris Rushworth, first strike to the visitors. The start didn't get much better though. Captain and last week's double 100 hero Tom Wesley was removed for just 4. And then Alistair Cook followed, pinned to the crease, out LBW for 6. The carnage continued with 2 in 1 casts over. Walter went first. And then Tendescata joined him back in the hutch, just 3 balls later. He got his body out of the way, but forgot to take the bat with him. The home side went past 50, with Dan Lawrence still at the crease, playing some distinctive shots. And at the other end, Adam Wheater was playing some of his own, never mind the score, and that would take Essex to 74 for 5 at lunch. Durham were back at it after the break though. Wheater's eye-catching innings was ended in its infancy. And then Dan Lawrence, Essex's leading light thus far, fell to Salisbury, the hosts now relying on their bowlers to breach 3 figures. Harmer fiddled with one outside his off stump to depart for a duck. Rain temporarily spared further Essex embarrassment, and then Allison was the next man to go at the hands of Rushworth. The innings was brought to an end less than 3 overs later. A short one did the trick for Cass. Essex all out for 96. Dan Lawrence had top scored for the hosts. His return of 32 was almost double the highest other total mustered in an ignominious innings. The wickets were shared between all the bowlers, but Rushworth's 3 for 13 from 11 overs contained a remarkable 8 maidens. Durham didn't continue to have things their own way after the restart. There was just 11 runs on the board when Lees fell for 5 in the 4th over. Scott Borthwick and Will Young steadied the ship for the visitors and took them to tea with the score 42 for 1. Durham went past 50 after the resumption thanks to another clip from Borthwick, and then Young brought up the 50 partnership as the pair started to step on the gas. Borthwick would go to an excellent 50 from just 64 balls, with boundaries all around the ground against his quality attack. He'd lose his partner Young to Harmer, courtesy of a Dan Lawrence special, in close with the score on 98. But Borthwick would take the score past 100 with another boundary from the bowling of Sam Cooke. David Beddingham's stay would last just 9 balls before Harmer struck to condemn him to a duck. Jack Burnham got a good one from Cooke, bowled through the gate by one that came back at him. Borthwick remained though, getting after Harmer here as he moved into the 80s. Another sweep took him into the 90s, and then 2 strokes full of class moved him to his century. Durham now leading their hosts by almost 50. He'd have to go on without Eckersley. Harmer now had 3 wickets to his name. It was Essex's turn to enjoy themselves. Lawrence found a way through Borthwick to remove the skipper, and followed it in the next ball by removing Cass for a duck. The champions back in it. They'd have Durham 8 down shortly before the end of the day. Rain was the man to go for Harmer's 4th. That left the visitors 148 for 8 at the close of play, leading by just 52.
Joined by Andre Nell at the end of a very, very interesting first day here at Chelmsford. If the game meandered last week to a draw to go to Worcestershire, I don't think that's likely to happen unless the weather intervenes. It was full of surprises on a dramatic day, wasn't it, Andre?
Yeah, it was an interesting day. It's probably not the day we wanted after winning the toss and getting bowled out quite cheaply. I thought the bowlers scrapped well and came back nicely and got us into a position where we've got a chance. And I think it's a typical Essex way. We sort of look at the game and we keep on scrapping and we're coming back. And hopefully tomorrow morning we have a good start to the day, bowl them out quite quickly and restrict the lead as much as possible. And then set off and bat properly and hopefully get a nice lead and then scrap again to get the 10 wickets for the win, hopefully. So that'll be ideal if it goes that way, but it never does. So let's hope for a good day tomorrow.
What was the thinking behind at the start of the day? Obviously, winning the toss, we decided to bat. Did we think that, as is typical at Chelmsford, it'd do a little bit in the morning and then perhaps play easier? But perhaps it did a little bit too much in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's normally the way. Yeah, if you get in, you're going to expect it's going to do something. You have to bat well in all conditions and everywhere you go and play. The first session on the first day is quite hard to bat on, and you have to be disciplined. And I think we sort of let ourselves down a few soft dismissals possibly. But they also bowled well. I thought Durham bowled really good lengths and they bowled fuller than normal and that's probably a good way and they bowled well and they got to take the credit for that also. But those things happen, and like I said, we didn't bat as well as we wanted to. But again, we we saw scrapped, and we in the game at the end of day one.
Interesting, isn't it, that you mentioned the Durham attack there, pace bowlers, and they did all bowl well. They all took a share of the wickets. Sam Cooke did his bit early on for us. And then Simon Harmer and Dan Lawrence accounting for 6 of the wickets, which you wouldn't have thought that was a spinner's track out there today.
Yeah, I think but we also used to Army doing some incredible things here on the first or second day. He spins on most things, so you don't expect anything less of Army. It's nice that Dan chipped in with 2 wickets at the end and really put us back into the game, kind of thing, getting those 2 wickets, and especially Borthwick, who played really, really well. And at that stage, it was crucial wicket to get him out, and some fresh faces tomorrow morning. If we came back and he was still in, he could have been quite dangerous. Out of the 144 runs, he scored 100 runs. So it sees the big part he's played in their innings. So it's a big wicket for us. And so hopefully tomorrow morning we come back, whoever takes the 2 wickets as quick as possible, and then let us get batting and hopefully bat well.
Yeah, and I mean, that last session really brought us back into the game, didn't it? Because the way Borthwick was batting, it was all honours to Durham, and Essex weren't going to get a look in. But we showed true character, typical Essex character. And as you say, we're right back in it. A couple of decent partnerships at the top of the order, and it's very much game on, isn't it?
I think so. And one thing to note is I think also they put the heavy roll on, it seemed to sort of help the wicket and flatten out slightly more. And it moved, but it didn't move as much possibly when we bowled second. We possibly missed occasionally slightly fuller than normal. But those happen. I think we probably tried to get early cheap wickets, and that caused us to bowl slightly fuller. But if we can come back tomorrow morning, take those 2 wickets, bat well, and could set up an interesting game, a good scrap, it would be a good win from the position we were in after our batting today.
Around about 13 to 14 degrees we're expecting to get up to a little bit later on in the day, but it does still feel very, very chilly. Simon Harmer is going to continue to whirl away from this river end, about to start his 18th over of the innings, and Essex would dearly like to wrap this up as quickly as possible. Durham will want to get as close to a 100 lead, or even indeed beyond, and then see what their bowlers can do. They had a great day, their seam attack yesterday, but Simon Harmer's got the ball talking, and that might make it interesting for the remaining two innings of this game. Matthew Salisbury is on strike to Harmer. Ball one of day two. Harmer is in, and defensively off the outside edge of the bat, down into the ground, and that's running down towards the vacant third man fence. It will be hauled in. Sir Alistair Cook vainly trying to make a diving stave, didn't get there, and they get a couple of runs, and it brings up the Durham 150 as well, which has come just inside 50 overs, and Durham's lead is stretched to 54 runs now. Harmer very quickly, ball back in hand, in once again. That's angled into the onside, where Ben Allison does the fielding at a wide mid-wicket. This next one from Harmer, slightly quicker through the air, less of a loop on that one, just pushed back down the pitch by Salisbury. He's moved on to 5, 150 for 8. We will be updating BBC Essex listeners into the 11 o'clock news on the early action here, as Essex try to wrap up this Durham first innings. Here's Harmer once again, very full delivery that one, and Salisbury just playing from the crease, and Allison again just tidies up. We'll get through the overs quite quickly. Harmer with 4 to his name so far, 4 for 43, and pushed out defensively to the offside for no run once again. Don't forget the emails are open. bbcessexcricket@gmail.com is the email address. You can also drop us a tweet as well, at BBC Essex Sport. Martin's got his own ways of you contacting him, which he'll tell us about when he joins us on commentary. This next one from Harmer to end the over is down the leg side, smartly taken by Adam Wheater. End of the first over of the day, and Durham have moved on to 150 for 8, so the lead is now up to 54 runs after a disastrous opening session for Essex yesterday. And indeed, Durham moved into the lead for the loss of just 1 wicket, but then lost 7 while adding 50 runs. And those late ones going down in very, very dark conditions. Looks like we're going to have seam for Essex from the Hayes close end. Waiting to see who's marking out his run up at the far end here. Just going to update BBC Essex listeners. Yes, and we've had the first over of the morning. A couple of runs from Simon Harmer's opening over has taken Durham to 150 for 8. The lead is now up to 54 runs, 18 wickets falling on day one in, well, conditions which didn't look overly troubling for the batsman, but Essex hustled out for 96. Durham took the lead for just the loss of the 1 wicket, but then lost 7 while adding a further 50 runs. Harmer's got 4 and Dan Lawrence has taken a couple as well. Sam Cook has just joined the attack from the Hayes close end, but Essex need to get rid of the remaining 2 Durham batsmen as quickly as possible. 150 for 8 is the Durham score. They lead by 54. Cook in with his second delivery. The first one was a dot ball. This one was whipped away and attempted to whip it away down the leg side. Actually drops out in front of square on the onside. Big shout for LBW, but not given. And Stuart Pointer survives. Cook, who's now up to the 100 wicket mark in an Essex shirt, and looking to add another couple this morning. We've got the heater on in the box. You can probably hear it whirring away in the background. Just trying to keep our little hands and toes as warm as possible. Cook turns, is in once again, bowling to Pointer, who allows that one to pass by. Well outside off stump. So BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com is the email address, and you can tweet us as well at BBC Essex Sport. Your thoughts on the opening day in a bit. Anything else cricketing wise? Lunch will be taken around about 1:10 today. They're going to continue for today to try to make up the overs, which will be lost tomorrow while they have the break for the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral. Cook is in once again, and Pointer's driving nicely. Timed that beautifully, but mid-off comes around to cut that one off and actually timed it too well. So there wasn't even a single in the end there for Pointer, and the score remains at 150 for 8. Lots of chat out there, lots of talk out there. I'm sure the Essex talk would have been of ending this Durham first innings as quickly as possible and then batting for the majority of today, if not beyond. Cook in again, and Pointer gets an inside edge on that one into the pad. Arms half in the air, as they thought there might have been a shout for LBW, but then the inside edge was spotted. Pointer, who has 3 from 31 deliveries, which he's eaten up now. Salisbury's got the only scoring shot of the morning. A couple of runs off the first ball from Simon Harmer, edged but down into the ground beyond Sir Alistair Cook, and they came through for a couple of runs. Cook turns again in towards us, bowls, and that's just played defensively out into the onside, nice and solidly from Pointer, and there is no run. That's the end of the second over of the day. 150 for 8 is the Durham score, so lead by 54 runs. Play resuming up and down the country this morning in this second round of county championship games. Derbyshire 361 for 8, continuing their first innings against Worcestershire. Nottinghamshire, Warwickshire is also quite advanced. Nottinghamshire 273 all out, on Warwickshire resuming 30 for 3, both of those games in this group. Simon Harmer's ready again, short leg and a leg slip in on this occasion. He's in, tossing that one right up, and attempted a booming expansive drive from Salisbury. Strikes nothing but thin air. Adam Wheater gloves the ball, whips the bails off, but Salisbury's back foot firmly planted behind the line. And Harmer is in once again. Bit flatter on that occasion. There's a shout for LBW from Harmer, then a shout for a catch at short leg, neither of which are met with the affirmative. Harmer just glancing back at the batsman. who is Matthew Salisbury, 150.48, and Martin Emerson has joined us on commentary here as Simon Harmer. He's in once again. Flatter outside off stump, just pushed defensively behind square for no run once again. And I mentioned it was chilly, but Martin's got the hat.
The hat's for the sun.
The gloves on.
I think we've got highs of 10 today.
Harmer in again. Well, you've seen a slightly different forecast than what I saw. That one I saw was a bit more optimistic, around about 13, but what's 3 degrees between friends?
The 3 degrees.
150 for 8. Harmer in again to Salisbury, and just held that one back slightly, Harmer, but it's dabbed down towards fine leg, beating the man at leg slip, and they come through for a single. 151 for 8. Nice quiet opening from Durham. They'll be quite pleased with this.
Yeah, they got themselves into a bit of a situation last night in the gloom. Lost 4 wickets for 3 runs in about 6 overs.
Here's Harmer again, a bit quicker that one, and that's angled down towards third man, and they'll turn very quickly and come back for a couple of runs. Good running that by Pointer. Spotted the second there, very quick to turn, and as it was, the fielder hurried and fumbled the ball when the pressure was put on. End of the over, 153 for 8, so the lead ekes up to 57 runs now.
Stewie Pointer's got 170 as his highest score. That was at Derby 2 years ago. He put on a big partnership with Michael Richardson at the time. So he went into this innings. I haven't got his overall amount of runs. He's had 42 first-class matches up to this point. He's had 200s and 5 50s. Matt Salisbury can hold an end up as well. We're going to see Sam Cook on the Hayes close end. Salisbury turns and have a look. I think Pointer and Salisbury put on a few runs in a partnership last year at Trent Bridge. Cook in, Salisbury forward to that one, pushes it out towards the covers. That, of course, came through the academy here, was released by Essex, I think it was 2015, and then had a year of unemployment. Played minor counties for Suffolk and then joined Hampshire for a period, and then came up to Durham in 2018, initially on loan, and celebrated his 100th first-class wicket last week at Trent Bridge. His family are from Brentwood, just down the road from here. Cook again, 3 slips in place, right arm over to the right-hander. This is turned off towards short mid-wicket, no run there.
Well, Cook is getting the ball to move a couple of times now, where the batsman's just had to adjust slightly and aiming out into the offside, and it's gone into the onside, so he's just getting it to move back in, but certainly not the fireworks and excitement of the opening stages of yesterday as yet, where Durham's seam attack did all the damage in removing very quickly Brown, Wesley and Cook in that opening half an hour, and Essex never really recovered from that.
Yeah, it was a good spell yesterday morning for Durham, as Cook comes in again, and a play and a miss this time from Salisbury to a rising ball just outside the off stump. If you want to email, it's wearecricket@yahoo.co.uk, to my email address, or @MartyCricket on Twitter, and the Essex email address is
bbcessexcricket@gmail.com, or you can drop us a tweet as well at BBC Essex Sport. There are 2 ways to get in touch with us.
Salisbury's faced 15 balls for his 6 runs. Durham 153 for 8 here on the BBC. Inside edge onto the pad there. Ball just rolls away up towards mid-on.
Yeah, third time Cook's half-heartedly gone up for the LBW, and then sort of had the appeal caught at the back of his throat as he realises there's an inside edge from it. So to say, he's getting the ball to move, just to move back in to the right-handed batsman. You're mentioning about the 100 wickets for Durham, 100 wickets for Sam Cook now in an Essex shirt.
Here he comes again. Turned by Salisbury down towards fine leg, and there's a man round there trying to cut it off in front of the scoreboard, and does so just. Good piece of fielding that from Paul Walter. What did Cook start this match with? 108 wickets. Salisbury's highest score's 37. And in fact, I think he's just clicked over to 400 first-class runs. Pointer's highest score, 170. He's got 1,449. This is defended by Salisbury. Goes out towards the covers end of the over.
Well, if those two get anywhere near their respective high scores, the game will be well and truly out of Essex's reach, I think, by that point, if they manage to stick around that long, the pair of them. Simon Harmer's going to continue from this river end. The breeze has just picked up, just watching the flag over on the popular side of the ground in front of some of those flats. It's just getting a bit more of a buffeting than it was.
Yesterday afternoon, quite late on, that flag was at full pelt, and it was really chilly, and this big black cloud came in and sat right on top of us. We had hail for a while. 4 seasons in one day yesterday.
Simon Harmer in from the river end then, and that's just allowed to roll up the pad by Stuart Pointer. Made sure he got everything out of the way of that, and there's no run.
Crowd in the bat here, they've got a leg slip, a short leg and a normal slip in there, plus a short mid wicket, square leg, slightly backward square leg, mid wicket as well.
446 for Simon Harmer so far as he's in once again, and again Pointer's just allowing that one to strike the body. It's caught by the man, short leg, who is Ryan Tenderscarter, the former captain. Leg slip in, as Martin was just mentioning. Harmer in, gives it one a bit more air, and on the drive on this occasion from Pointer, it's half stopped by the man at extra cover. Then he has to go and fetch it himself, and they're going to turn very quickly, and it's a very well judged and very well run 3 in the end. 158 for 8. The lead's up to 62, 10 runs added this morning.
Jamie Porter with a good diving stop there, because that was travelling, wasn't it? He got a hand on it and just slowed it enough to be able to chase it out towards the boundary and stop the 4.
It's one of those games where already, even though both sides haven't batted as yet, at the end of the Durham first innings after the Essex first innings, every run you get the feeling it needs to be scrapped over. Harmer around the wicket this time, down the leg side. Salisbury follows it but doesn't get anything on it. Nicely taken by Adam Wheater.
Paul Wilson's emailed. He says, "How do Marty and the gang? Greetings from a sun-kissed, clear blue skies but slightly chilly Costa del Hartlepool."
Harmer a bit flatter this time, and that's just comfortably played from the crease by Salisbury for no addition to the score. Ben Allison tidying up at a short mid-wicket.
He says this looks like a low-scoring epic. We shall see, of course.
We sometimes
could be completely different in the second innings, couldn't it?
This next one from Harmer is outside the off stump, and Salisbury played inside the line. End of the over, getting through them very quickly. 158 for 8. The Durham lead 62 runs.
Jake, the cameraman, is back on our balcony today. He's right jammed against the fence on the left hand side, as tight behind the line as he can get. He's slightly at an angle, but yesterday afternoon he went downstairs at the back of the stand between us and the scoreboard just to try and get the angle behind the bowler, and I think it was a little bit too low down there. So there's a couple of fixed cameras they're using here as well, plus his camera. There's Sam Cooke with 2 for 31 starts his 16th over from the Hayes end, comes in and bowls, and that's a lovely drive from Stewie Pointer. He's middled that wide of mid-off. It's been chased towards the far corner of the ground, and they'll get 3 runs. That was really nicely timed. It sounded nice as well.
Yeah, the Essex batsmen no doubt will be watching very carefully as well, because they'll expect to be in sooner rather than later, so they'll be watching what the ball's doing, and they'll have seen a couple of nice expansive drives already from these Durham batsmen that might give them a bit more encouragement. Matthew on the email says, "Lovely morning, let's hope Durham can kick on and get a 100 plus lead. Commentary was great yesterday," he says.
Cook in, and this is a controlled edge from Salisbury down towards third man. It's been chased by Allison down towards our commentary position. Turn and throw from him. 2 more runs for Durham. General consensus last night was rather than celebratory and marking Scott Borthwick's first 100 for the club since his return, his first since I think May 2016. He got a couple of hundreds around about that period. Got one at Lords, got 100 in both innings against Lancashire around about that time as well. 4th Durham player to do that. Not really a celebratory mood last night among the players though, as Cook bowls again. That's a bouncer. It's left alone by Salisbury through to the keeper it goes. Just felt they didn't get the rub of the green last night with the conditions and the umpires not taking the players off when they should have done. And had Durham wanted to declare last night, then there's no way in that light that Essex would have been able to start their second innings. And speaking to the photographers here, they were saying their camera settings last night were effectively what you would have, pushing the aperture and whatnot, and the exposure akin to an evening T20 game. Cook again bowls, and this is driven by Salisbury up to mid-off, no run.
It's a crazy game sometimes, isn't
yeah,
it?
I think it was a bit unfortunate. And the pressure of trying to squeeze in as many overs as 100 a day, particularly at this time of the year, and not helped by the fact there was a rain delay midday-ish, just before lunch, and then the hailstorm came along afterwards. And looking at the weather forecast from yesterday, they were showing you what happened on the BBC this morning as Cook comes in again. And this is turned nicely by Salisbury through mid-wicket. It's being chased out towards the boundary. Will it have the legs to go? There's a diving stop right out there in the deep.
Nick Brown with the fielding.
Nick Brown in front of the Felsted School stand. Got more runs for Salisbury. He's on 12 from 25. Point at 11. Durham 165 for 8 here on the BBC. And the lead is now 69.
It's been a very nice start from them. Very quiet as well. Haven't offered anything so far. And they're just going about their business, just accruing runs. No great fireworks.
In comes Cook again. And defended by Salisbury. It runs off towards mid-wicket. And that is the end of the over. I messaged William, the Durham scorer, this morning. He's not here. The scorers aren't allowed to travel with their teams until May, I don't think. But I was calculating the possibility of a lost 7 overs yesterday because of the yesterday. Were due to play 100, and are due to play 100 today. But then he's messaged back to say it seems 102 overs today. Now we've now reached the stage where 96 remain. Did Harmer begin this morning?
Yes, he did.
So yeah, so we've had 6 overs this morning, haven't we? He began at this end, so yeah, so 102 today.
Well, he's starting another over from the river end, his 21st. Plenty of flight in that one. Nice bit of dip as well, but it's met firmly with the straight bat of Stuart Pointer, and there's no addition to the score. 165 for 8, the Durham score.
If they could get those in, they'd be 5 down on the match, but it's asking a lot at this time of year.
Harmer in once again, and off the back foot this time, forced away behind square by Pointer. It's running down towards the wide third man boundary, sliding stop down there, and they come through for another couple of runs. 167 for 8. And just going about their business very quietly, very nicely, this Durham pair. And they've gone out there looking to blast it, don't want to give it away. Harmer searching on the sweep on this occasion. Good stop behind square on the onside as well. It was middled by Pointer, that sweep shot, but good diving stop prevents any runs in the event. He got nothing for a very good shot. And Harmer chastises himself somewhat, erring in line. And he's in once again, well outside off stump and pushed defensively out. Just dropped out really by Pointer for no addition to the score. Adam Wheater and Sir Alistair Cook both going after the ball. Harmer continues to wheel away, again giving it plenty of air, and a study in defence, Stuart Pointer, and no addition to the score once again. Four for 51 Harmer as he prepares to finish up his 21st over of this Durham innings. In again, and Pointer this time just lifts everything out of the way of it, lets it go through to Adam Wheater. End of the over, 167 for 8.
Morning, Sunner, says John Hutchison. Greetings from sunny but chilly Bolton. Hopefully tuned in all day on YouTube today. Did I hear correctly you are wearing gloves?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Did I just point that out?
And he says, I hope they aren't your old man's, otherwise you'd never be able to take a catch and tap them buttons. My dad was a wicket-keeper for many years. These are they're very thin, these gloves, so I can actually type in them, but they just keep the chill off. Bought them in Northampton Market for £1 about 2 or 3 years ago when we were down there for the first game of the season, and it looked like it was going to be a chilly week like this one. 167 for 8 as the bowler comes in. That's a thick edge. It's gone wide of second slip. It was just pitching as it went past the slip cordon. Salisbury moves on to 16. 171 for 8 now, and the lead is 75. And Cook just catching the edge there. It was quite a highish delivery, but he got on top of it, Salisbury, and second slip looks a little bit disappointed, but to be fair, Simon Harmer there, that would have been if he caught that, not only would it have been acrobatically incredible, but Superman type stuff as well, because it pitched just around about his right ankle. In comes Cook again. That's a shortish one which Salisbury rocks out the road of.
Good to hear from Philip J this morning as well. Says great to watch ball by ball from Hong Kong. I've been an Essex fan and supporter for all my 50 plus years. Family originally from Ilford. Used to play with Alan Lilly and the rest of the Ilford Colt boys. We had some big players. Been living in Hong Kong here for 30 years, says Philip. Great times. I just got my COVID vaccine today as well. Can't wait to get a flight back to the UK. I wonder if Philip ever played at Valentine's Park, where Essex played for so many years, but sadly not anymore.
Cook into Salisbury. Now he played at that and missed it, and it's bounced out the keeper's gloves. Just wondering if he got a tickle there or not.
Doesn't seem to be a huge amount of disappointment, does there? You normally tell. Sam Cook had his hand in the air, I think more for the play and miss than for anything else.
Well, this lead is 75, and in the context of this game, it's sizable, given that Essex were bowled out for just 96 yesterday. Durham 171 for 8. Cook 2, Salisbury. Defended, it rolls back up the wicket towards mid-on.
Paul Oakes has also dropped us an email, bbcsexcricket@gmail.com. Says, morning lads, I hope you're all well. Great to hear you back. I'm watching the pics and listening to you guys as a long time Essex fan. This is a poor start from the boys. Keep up the great work though. I'm a big Paul Newton fan, says Paul Oakes. Well, we've all got our crosses to bear.
I think Salisbury actually pulled the bat inside the line on that one, which popped out the keeper's gloves as Cook bowls again. And he looks as if he's pushing at the ball, but then tucks it in underneath his more or less his armpit as he's playing at that one there. I'll leave. Paul's got a fan club, has he?
But fan being the opposite word rather than plural. Yeah.
So for now it's just a mug and a t-shirt rather than mugs and t-shirts available.
Philip's back on and says, yes, I did play at Valentine's Park. Thanks for the mention. It was a great pitch, he says. They were great days. You could see Canary Wharf in the distance down at Valentine's Park.
In comes Cook once more, driven by Salisbury to wide mid-off. A couple of awkward bounces there, but it's fielded, and that is the end of the over. 172 for 8. Went up. Have you been to Canary Wharf? Have you been up the tower?
I haven't been up the tower, no.
We came down in 2000. Me and my wife had a puttle around the southeast for a few days. Went to the Millennium Dome and stuff like that, and the wheel. But a friend of mine was the chief reporter on the Daily Telegraph, so we got invited up to their offices, which are, I think we're on something like the 35th floor in the main tower. And at the time they were building the other towers around it, but there's a lot more there now than there was back in those days.
Just a bit.
It's about 10 or 15 huge towers there now, isn't it? I wonder how busy it is these days with lockdown and whatnot and people working from home.
There might be a bit of free office space up for grabs if you
think the odd square metre or two.
Yes. Simon Harmer resumes from the River End in the sunshine here at Chelmsford in the city centre. He's in, and that's off the back foot by Salisbury into the onside for no run. Ben Allison patrolling short mid-wicket, wide mid-wicket.
Where does the border end then? The Essex border, south?
There's more on that in a second as Harmer is in once again, tossed up, but defensively pushed back up the pitch for no run. It's always it's a bit of a grey area. The BBC Essex, the radio station, broadcasts includes within its patch solely the county of Essex, but you get into Ilford, it's the London Borough of and Hornchurch, Dagenham, etc., etc. As Harmer is in once again. dropped down onside for no
Loughton's
run.
classed as Essex, isn't it?
Loughton is Essex.
So you're out on the
It's-
fringes there, aren't you?
It's not in the London borough. Waltham Abbey is Essex as well.
Yeah.
It's not in a London borough, but you ask people from Dagenham, Romford, Hornchurch, etc., where they come from, and they'll all tell you, despite lines on maps, etc., and who they're governed by council-wise, that they are from Essex. Harmer's in, that's quicker and flatter. Doesn't get the result he wanted though, 172.48.
Stayed in Waltham Abbey more times than I care to remember. Had a friend who had relatives there, worked in the big munitions factory.
Yeah, gunpowder, famous for gunpowder, Waltham Abbey. Harmer in again, a bit slower. And into the onside this time. That's not where Salisbury was aiming, but sends pointer back. There was no single there. The lead is 76 runs for Durham. It's very quickly been accrued this morning as well. 20 runs added so far. Harmer's in, and again Salisbury lifts everything out of the way of that. That is the end of the over. A maiden from Simon Harmer, 451 from his 22 overs bowled. The economy rate's under 2.5, but it's wickets that Essex need. They ideally like to wrap this up as quick as possible.
When I was looking at applying for journalism colleges back in the late 80s, Epping was one of the places you could go to. They were not sort of mega centres of society, the journalism colleges. Darlington was where I ended up, but the
Harlow you could have ended up at as well. They do an NCTJ course
I don't
there.
think it was on. That wasn't on the list in the day. There was only about 5 of them. I think there's Preston as well in Sheffield, in Epping, possibly somewhere in Wales like Swansea or something like that. There's probably a lot more now. Well, they are a lot more now.
Oh, they're churning them out these days, aren't they?
Tenner penny journalists these days. 172 for 8. The lead is 76, and here comes Cook bowling 2. Pointer, who's on 13. Oh, and he goes for a quick push and run, and is quite rightly told to get back there because they played the ball straight out into the covers to Dan Lawrence, and he could have gone for either end there for a moment.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those yes, no, sorry. They weren't caught in the middle of the pitch. There was enough time to turn around, but Pointer has just put his hand up and I think apologised to Matt Salisbury.
Matt Salisbury was a bit, what on earth are you doing here? And was rather surprised to see Pointer set off. Last thing you want now is a run out. This is the 59th over of this Durham innings, and that's played nicely by Pointer. Soft hands down to third man for 4. Just rolls down below our commentary position. And they all help, they all add to the score. The lead is now 80, crucially.
I think the concern will slightly be rising for Essex now as it's nudging up closer to 100.
Yeah, they're still nowhere near a new ball either, are they?
No.
They were probably thinking this morning they wouldn't need the new ball, but 22 overs still before a new ball's available.
Hands are on hips from that shot in the slips as well. Just looking at each other.
Pointer and Salisbury now on 17 apiece. They came together with the score on 144 for 8, and it's now 176 for 8. Turned nicely by Pointer. He pulls it down. Oh, it's gone for 4. Well, that was a really nice shot. It was just straying slightly down the leg side, and he's helped it on its way with a lovely little glance. Derek Randall-esque. And fielding down there, Paul Walter, there was nothing he could do about it. It was flying past him before he really had the chance to react.
Yeah, he's very wide at fine leg as well, Paul Walter. And he gave that one up pretty quickly because it was connected with very, very nicely by Stuart Pointer. He goes on to 21 now. And the lead up to 84 runs.
The sun is shining here in Chelmsford. As Cook comes in again, and it's off the pad. It looked to me, even from this angle, way down at third man, that it was veering down the leg side. A leg by is signalled. There was an appeal. My computer's frozen on the live feed. And the sun is catching the vapour trails of 2 planes heading way up in the atmosphere. North. .81 for 8. The lead 85 here on the BBC. Half an hour of play so far this morning, and now that's worth a shout. That stayed low, and Salisbury on strike there has been given the benefit of the doubt by the umpire.
no way of us really telling from the angle where we're sort of stood at sat at third man, really looking diagonally across. They're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips across from where the match with Worcestershire was played.
See the replay here. Oh, it's frozen. It keeps buffering
Frozen
all the
in
time. Great. The ball's hanging in the air. What happens next? Excellent. Anyway, he's still out there, and he is on at 17. In comes the bowler once again. That's left alone outside the off stump.
End of the over as well. 181 for 8. Just one more email from Paul Oakes, who's back on. He says, I'm going to start a fan club for Paul Newton. At least I'm the first member, he says. Best wishes. Well, presumably we get honorary membership of that as well, Paul. And a few words from Marty, and then the great man himself, Paul Newton, will join him for commentary.
Stuart Manger says, cloudless here in sunny Cumbria, and it's already warmish. Great to have ball-by-ball commentary back on air. Delighted Durham are giving the champions Essex a bit of a go so far. Decent lead too, he says. Stuart in Sedberth. In the Howgill Fells, where the locals actually use a Norwegian weather forecasting service rather than anything local. So I think it's a Norwegian farming service they use to get an accurate weather account there. Harmer flights one up here to Pointer, and it's played back to him tentatively. In comes Harmer once more. He's given a lot of airtime to the ball this time. It's played by Pointer to short mid-wicket to Ben Allison. We've got the Simpsons sky at the moment. White fluffy clouds, sunshine and blue. Harmer again in, and a big stride forward from Pointer to try and snuff that one out. The ball comes to rest. A couple of strips across on the offside. Dot ball. In comes the bowler. That's gone down the leg side. And was there any connection with the bat? It's gone for 4. It's byes. So it goes against the keeper. It went a long way down the leg side and quite high to the keeper's left. You okay, Paul?
Yes, good morning, Martin. Good morning, everyone. Very good start this for Durham indeed.
They're on 89, the lead, 185 for 8. Harmer bowls once again, and a sweep shot from Pointer. He's picked out a fielder down at long leg. And I think that might be... Where's is it Nick Brown down there? I haven't got my binoculars. Yep. Nick Brown. Sun's just gone in briefly. It looks like a plane heading up towards Stansted, coming in low. Harmer right arm over to the right-handed Salisbury. They're appealing for how's that. They all look rather sort of nonplussed, to be honest with you. There were polite inquiries. I think it's the best you can describe that. There was a couple of how's that, and the umpires just wandered off, not interested. Peter Hartley.
Yeah, I should imagine perhaps the bat hit the pad there, and there was some sort of noise, but it never looked as if he was anywhere near to getting an inside edge to the keeper. It was nicely taken by Adam Wheater, but you don't pick up a wicket just for that.
By the time the appeal comes in, Peter Hartley's already walking off the wicket. He's just away he goes, and then one of the short legs got hands on helmet as if I can't believe you haven't given that. He just shakes his hand and head and walks off.
So a very good start from Durham. This started at 148 for 8, and in next to no time they put on 38 with only an occasional hint that a wicket might be going to go down. Salisbury had 17, Pointer 22, and here comes Sam Cook continuing, bowling initially to Pointer, who plays the ball down to mid-on via bat and pad, and again there's no run. The fact that Cook has been given the ball to bowl from the Hayes Close end first up this morning is a bit of an indication that on current form Cook has looked the more likely bowler than Porter, who normally would be given the ball first thing. But I'm sure if Cook doesn't get a breakthrough shortly, we'll probably see Porter on at his favourite Hayes close end. Dan Lawrence was even trying to drop a hint to Wesley a moment ago, going through his bowling action as this ball is played comfortably back by Pointer to Cook for no run. And certainly one of the sort of features of Chelmsford pitches is a lot of wickets can go down, as we saw yesterday, 18 in a day. You'd never believe, on the evidence of what we've seen this morning, that 18 wickets could have fallen the previous day, because Simon Harmer, yes, he has got some turn, but nothing all that dramatic. The ball has moved a little bit for the seam bowler, Sam Cook, but nothing that the batsmen, even 9 and 10, have found unnegotiable, as this next ball Pointer pushes out to Ben Allison at backward point for no run. So 186 for 8, we're in the 61st over, and Durham can be very pleased with the way things have gone thus far.
Yeah, I think they would have taken this today. The discussion at tea last night was try and get another 50 runs on the board if possible. Maybe 60, 70.
Cook reaches the top of his run out, very business-like Cook. He walks back pretty briskly and comes in pretty briskly as he's in now. Bowls, and this ball just fended out to point. There's no run there, and what's going to be particularly interesting is to see if the Durham seam attack, four-pronged attack, which was so effective yesterday morning, will look as effective when Essex play their second innings, and equally to see whether the Essex batsmen can do something to restore their reputations in their second dig. Quite clearly they're going to have to bat a lot better second time round. Conditions look as though they're easier today as Cook is in and bowls to Pointer, and that one that goes down may have been batting that. I think it's probably going to be leg byes, and it is 4 leg byes, and quite a lot of extras coming on to Durham's account. 190 for 8.
Target for these two, if they can get to 63 with this partnership, then they would break the 9th wicket stand set by Ben Harmison and Mitch Claydon here in 2010. That was a drawn game in the September. I think that match actually relegated Essex that year.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, well, they can't be relegated this time. They got that consolation to work with as Cook is on his way in again.
46 the partnership now.
Bowls, and Pointer has looked very, very solid in defence all morning, and he remains on 22 as he just plays the ball defensively into the offside for no run. 17 to Matt Salisbury, and Durham have added 42 this morning in very little trouble. 190 for 8 in 60 overs.
You look at that scorecard. Scott Borthwick 100. The next best by last night was Will Young's 24. Nobody else got to double figures. Lee's 6, Beddingham got a duck, Burnham 1, Eckersley 4, Carse got a first baller, Rain 1, and then today these two, Salisbury 17 and Pointer 22. Salisbury on strike as Harmer bowls, right arm over, just gets on top of that one and plays it down into the ground. Harmer now has taken 4 for 52, 23.1 overs, 9 of which have been maidens. Comes up to the stumps again and bowls at the back of the hand. This is dabbed away out towards the offside, no run there.
Emails to either bbcessexcricket@gmail.com, that's bbcessex@gmail.com, or wearcricket, WEAR, @yahoo.co.uk.
Driven by Salisbury, back past the bowler and down towards the boundary at this end, and that's the 50 partnership. I think that's gone for 4. Harmer looking for his 38th fifer in first class cricket, and that is 50 runs. So Pointer has scored 20 of them, Salisbury 21. It's come in 81 balls.
Well, fine effort, and the beauty of cricket is, particularly the longer form of the game, there are so many twists and turns.
He comes again, leading bottom edge out towards short leg. Good work from these two then. Just what Durham needed today to lift the spirits as Harmer once again comes in from the river end. Ball bounces out the keeper's gloves. I don't think there was any connection to it.
And Durham now, just a cockstride away from a first innings lead of 100. Essex wouldn't want it to go much further than that.
Harmer again goes back into his crease. Salisbury and just defends. The ball rolls off towards point. That's the end of the over. 194 for 8, so Durham are 6 away from a batting point. And Essex need one more wicket for their third and final bowling point.
Sam Atkinson emails us, morning Sam, you say, morning gents, great to have the cricket on this morning. With confirmation of Ben Stokes' requirements to have surgery on his finger and thus taking up to 3 months out, do you think that Dan Lawrence is in a strong position to play against New Zealand in June? Did he do enough in India to prove his place in the team? I certainly think so. Would love to hear Martin's opinion on this as a non-Essex commentator. So there you go. Martin, do you think Dan Lawrence is worth persevering with?
I'm going to swerve this one because on a morning when I got up, if the scorecard looked horrendous, I didn't bother watching those test matches, which was most of them, to be honest, so I didn't really see much of it.
Well, people can say I'm biased. I was pleased he got another chance in that final test, and basically he took it with 2 innings around the 50 mark, and of course he was only out last man, deciding that he might as well hit out or get out that point, and Porter's taken over now from Sam Cook at the Hayes close end, but he's met with a boundary. Lovely shot off the back foot, and these two are making batting look easy. They're batting like frontline batsmen here, and that's 4 Pennyworth to Pointer, who moves along to 26, scored to 198 for 8, and applause for the 100 lead.
Yes, so 100 lead coming up in the 63rd over.
And I doubt whether all that many Durham supporters would, bearing in mind it was a 52 lead overnight, would have sort of envisaged that at this stage they'd have a healthy 100 lead and power to add, let it be said. Only 2 slips now, Porter's in bowls, and here's another run at least. It will be just the one, as Pointer dabs the ball away to Paul Walter at backward square leg, coming in off the boundary region.
They've doubled the lead, haven't they?
They have,
yes. In, 42 minutes?
Yep, that's good. 199 for 8, and now a lead of 103. Yeah, virtually doubled it. They've sort of just got one more run to push that one over the line, but it's made a big difference. You're absolutely right, as Porter on his way again bowls, and better ball, met with the respect it deserved, but in no way was Pointer phased by that. He simply returned it whence it came. 199 for 8, and of course Essex now, Durham now I meant to say, are just a point away from first batting bonus point, and the way these two are batting, you wouldn't put it totally past them to get a second one up as well, and that really would put Essex with a great deal to do in their second innings. Porter again comes in, bowls, and that ball goes through outside off stump, and Essex haven't quite nailed down line and length as well as they might have done today, and as well as indeed the Durham bowlers did yesterday morning when they knocked Essex over, not all in the morning, but eventually for 96, and certainly a splendid effort this by Durham on a nicer day by far so far. We've got a lot of sunshine, probably near enough 50-50, clouded as against blue sky, and Porter bowls, and that's a nice shot from Salisbury, hit with authority. There's no run involved, but it's played very firmly down to Tom Wesley at deep mid-off. Score remaining 199 for 8. Yes, just to continue replying to Sam's email, thank you very much, Sam. He has got a lot of talent. We saw the way he played here in the first innings, and I think he would justly feel a little hard done by if he didn't get another chance, because he started well, then had a couple of poor tests, but came back well in the final test when very few English batsmen did. Here the next ball is played firmly back to Porter. There's no run there, and the other thing I think to be said, Sam, bearing in mind who the England head coach is, nobody really knows a lot more about the capabilities of Dan Lawrence than Chris Silverwood. Ball played back, no run, but Durham's morning all over so far, or should we say Durham's first 3/4 of an hour by a street, with 27 to Pointer, 21 to Salisbury. 199 for 8 equals a lead of 103.
Just awaiting that batting point as well.
Yes, we've heard from Dr. Dan again. Dr. Dan Diaper, who sends these lovely sketches. A very, very talented man. Good morning, gentlemen. He says, I've tweeted you an early morning sketch attached. I've been waiting for Durham to start scoring batting points. Best wishes and thank you to all at Chelmsford. Thank you very much, Dr. Dan. And again, the superb little sketch as well with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cricket players in it.
Harmer to Pointer, who's on 27. Pointer forward, a long way forward, as far as he could stretch there to get on top of that one, and plays it into the ground to short leg. Durham need 1 run for a batting point. Harmer bowling from the river end, right arm over to the right-handed Pointer with his glasses on. That's defended again and finds its way to short leg once more. Callum from Houghton has emailed, Houghton Spring. Says he's a 14-year-old and an umpire, and his first game is next week. Do we have any advice? And, an attempted drive here from Pointer, but he's mistimed that one and it rolls back to the bowler. Take 6 coins with you. Yes, that's always a starting point. Harmer once more, right arm over, comes in and bowls. Pointer drops his bat on that one as the ball pitches in front of off stump.
And I'd say, Callum, don't take any lip from anyone. You know, if there's any dissent, quite a good thing is to walk over to the other umpire. And that will make them a little bit wary because the culprit will realise you mean business.
Yeah. Driven by Pointer, that's straight past the bowler. That might go for 4, and that's the batting point for Durham. It's slowing towards the boundary. It's gone for 4. Pointer moves on to 31. Durham 203 for 8. Well, you would have taken this morning, put it that way, from a Durham perspective. They're more than happy now to get a batting point on the board, and 200 runs has caught in 63.5 overs.
And they've left Essex wondering where the next wicket's coming from. Both batsmen have played with commendably straight bats, and they've just done the simple things admirably well.
64th over, Pointer defends that one. That is the end of the over. An umpire once told me, don't get into discussions with the players. So if they appeal and you say it's not out, and then they ask why is that not out, just ignore them.
Yes, treat the players with the contempt they deserve, Callum. But no, good luck to you anyway. It's great to hear one so young sort of getting into umpiring, because heaven knows in sport we need umpires and referees, and the reason why we're sort of advising you not to take any lip from anyone is that there's far too much of it goes on, and the authorities, shamefully in my opinion, don't back the officials up the way they should do. 203 for 8 is the score here. We've heard from Philip J. We'll come to your email in just a moment, Philip, but here's Porter in from the Hayes close end, bowls, and that for once does beat the batsman there, as Salisbury was aiming to play at that. He may have just been taking the bat away at the last moment. It goes through to Wheater, 203 for 8, and Philip says, must give Durham batsmen some credit, but we can still have a say in the result, but need to bat for a few days, exclamation mark. And Philip coming from the Essex viewpoint here, and as I was saying recently, they will need to make a much, much better fist of the second innings than they did the first, as Porter is in. Just 2 slips, Cook and Harmer. This ball is turned away, at least a single. I think they will settle for the 1, and that goes to Salisbury, Matt Salisbury. He moves up to 22, just turning the ball away to backward square leg, and the score to 204 for 8, and the lead now up to 108. I must admit, I don't think anyone would quite have expected this score within the hour this morning. Very well done to this 9th wicket pair. Really looked in next to no trouble at all as Porter's in. Bowls now. That one he does play it, and it's taken low down to his right by Wheater, and that was a minor victory for Jamie Porter there, and he's still searching for his best form this season so far. Of course, we've only just started really, but Jamie Porter didn't have the best of games. Not that it was a bowler's pitch in the opening game against Worcestershire, but again here, just a little bit short of his dynamic best. 204 for 8. He comes in now, bowls to Pointer. Pointer turns a ball that was on Midland leg out to Nick Brown at mid-wicket. And we're in the 65th over of the innings. Durham, 204 for 8, have a lead of 108.
Haway man on Twitter says Haway. A celebratory Haway, that one.
And rightly so.
Andrew Allison says the first target for Durham was to get to 200 for a bonus point. I didn't think it would happen.
Porter's in again, Hayes close end. A few clouds have come over now, not threatening, as this ball's played away for 2 runs through the covers, and that was just a nice little defensive push. The skill there by Stuart Pointer was that he found the gap between cover and point, and picks up 2 runs from nothing more than a defensive push, and that's also very satisfying batting point of view when you score runs without really having to throw the bat at Stuart Pointer. And 22 to Matt Salisbury.
1 run from these two, and it's a new 9th wicket stand record for Durham against Essex.
Porter bowls. Pointer plays it to mid-on. Thinks there might be a run, but quickly realises Sam Cook is too close. And he hit it quite firmly, so that meant there wouldn't have been time for a safe single, or put it that way, a shy would have come at the stumps at the bowler's end, and if it hit, it would have been out. If it missed, well, you get away with a run. But quite rightly, the possibility turned down, but it's another over seen off with interest by the Durham 9th wicket pair, and 206 for 8 represents a lead of 110. Power to add with 33 to Pointer and 22 to Salisbury.
Commentary of day 2 of Essex against Durham here in Chelmsford on BBC Essex and BBC Radio Newcastle. Andrew goes on to say, when the cloud cover comes in this afternoon, we could be back to where we were yesterday. It certainly looks easier to bat at the moment. It certainly does in the sunshine, but got to give credit to these two as well. Great partnership so far of 62. The lead's 110. Harmer bowling now to Salisbury. That's into the keeper's gloves, and he's taking the bails off as well. Got a few emails coming in. I will try and get through them in a moment. Bernard says good resumption by Durham, but still a long way to go. Well, you know, just keep batting as long as they can out there. Harmer again now, right arm over to Salisbury, who plays the ball down onto his back foot, and that rolls out towards the offside. No run there. Martin says fantastic effort this, keep it going fellas. I think Hampshire all out for 319 against Middlesex. In comes Harmer again, defended by Salisbury. Pointer runs off down the track saying come on, let's go for a single, but the ball has just rolled out rather slowly but straight to Sam Cook at point. Harmer once more comes in and bowls, and that's defended by Salisbury. Stride forward there to meet that one. Sun's just gone in temporarily. Still plenty of blue sky on show. 2 balls left of this over. There's the first of them, and that's gone to backward square leg, no run. Nick Brown fields that one. Lone goal riding the thermals just at the far end of the ground. Last ball now from Harmer. Left alone, pops into the keeper's gloves and sends him into a little spin. Right, some emails coming in here. Let's see what else we've got. Stephen says, enjoying the coverage from Chelmsford and from Trentbridge last week. Thank you all. He said, maybe I've missed something, but I've noticed several batsmen have been batting with a middle and off, or even an off-stump guard. When did this shift begin to happen? He says, in my long and spectacularly undistinguished career in cricket in Northumberland and Sussex with equally unsuccessful clubs, I could count on one hand the number of times a player took anything other than middle and leg. Yeah, I think I was nearly always a middleman.
Yeah, I was a Midland leg man. Come back to that very good point you raised, because Porter's just coming in now, bowls, and it's driven to mid-off, but it's very firmly driven, and once Wesley gets the ball, never a run there. Pointer's the man on strike. Yes, I think one of the reasons is that players now want to be able to get outside the line of off stump, because on the typical English pitches now, a lot of people are trapped LBW and they're trying to take that one out of the equation. Simon Harmer is a great one for that policy of getting across outside the line of off stump. Here is Porter in, bowls to Pointer, who plays the ball into the covers. There's no run there. Just a quick whip round the grounds elsewhere. Derbyshire 390 all out against Worcestershire. Notts 273 all out. Warwickshire 73 for 3. Hampshire 319 all out against Middlesex. Somerset 312 all out. Gloucestershire 64 for 1. Leicestershire 283 for 3 against Surrey. Glamorgan 285 all out, Sussex 135 for 1, Yorkshire 379 all out, Kent 24 for 1, and finally Lancashire 301 for 9 against Northampton. As Porter comes in, the sun returns, bowls to Pointer, plays this defensively down to mid-off, and this ninth wicket pair are now looking as safe as houses on the evidence we've seen, and Essex really, you can't quite see where they're going to pick up the ninth wicket. Emails variously to Wear Cricket, W-E-A-R cricket at yahoo.co.uk or BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com. Thoroughly enjoying your various contributions as Porter's in, Hayes close in, balls are turned down to mid-on. For a moment Pointer was interested in the single, but once again the ball was already well on its way to mid-on, and so they eschew the single, rightly so. 206 for 8 remains the score.
Since they got to 62 and equalled the ninth wicket stand set by Ben Harmison and Mitch Claydon here in the last meeting between these two sides, which was September 2010, we've had 3 overs of dot balls. So
yes, Porter again passes Billy Taylor, bowls, and this ball's nudged off the back foot. Another dot ball is fielded by Ben Allison at backward point, and 206 for 8, and certainly the outfield here is beautifully cut, and when the sun shines on it, it's fine side here at the county ground.
Steve says no doubt the taking the guard that they are has been inspired by the teams of analysts in the dressing rooms. Best wishes from Riding Mill in the Tyne Valley, where it's a glorious day.
It's a very good point as well. A lot of it is down to the perception from the analysts, and this last ball of the Porter over is driven down to the skipper, Tom Wesley at mid-off, who keeps the ball, and the end of the over, Harmer is going to continue from the river end, as is his wont. Bowled 62 overs in the Worcestershire innings the other day. 206 for 8, 67 overs gone in this innings.
Advice for a young umpire, says David Moody. If in doubt, give it not out. Say it confidently and they'll soon stop chirping. Ignore the appeal, the volume of the appeal, and the frequency of the appeal. If the bowler asks why it's not LBW, just say it would have hit another set. Don't give someone out LBW for a bad shot. Just because it's an awful shot doesn't mean it is actually hitting the stumps.
Yes, all good advice.
And he says the first time anybody gives you any lip, bite back hard and speak to the skipper. Here's Harmer bowling to Salisbury. It's into the keeper's gloves just beyond the off stump. He said they'll soon stop after that. Most importantly, a good umpire is seen but not heard. Remember, they've come to watch and play the game, not to watch you umpire the match. Good advice there from David. In comes Harmer once more and bowls. Salisbury dabs this off towards mid-on. It's another dot ball. Progress has just been halted in recent overs from a Durham point of view. Harmer once more comes in and bowls. That's left alone outside the off stump by Salisbury, who takes a giant stride to pad up to that one.
I think we're all agreed that whatever else you do as an umpire, get on top of the game. Don't let people push you around.
In comes the bowler again, defended once more by Salisbury. And 1, 2. It's 4 overs since Durham last scored a run. A little bit of pressure on them here. It comes in once more, and that's sort of dribbled off towards a leg slip along the floor. Got one ball after this over, then I'll have to go and do an update for Radio Newcastle.
We'll bring in Glenn Speller to join me.
In comes the bowler once again, and a record stand for the 9th wicket for Durham. That's a lovely drive, 4-4 by Matt Salisbury, and that takes Durham up to 210 for 8, and their partnership is 66.
Very significant runs from Durham this morning. I felt overnight that Essex had so much regained the initiative in the final session, or when I say regained, gained the initiative from that final hour last night when 7 wickets fell with the addition of 50 runs. I felt that Essex were quite likely to go on and win the game, but I hadn't anticipated this. I don't think Essex had either, and the lead is already 114. And looking at the way this 9th wicket Durham pair have made batting look an absolute piece of cake this morning, Essex not only have to get, I would think, over 300 minimum to have a chance of winning the game, but clearly the Durham order has some strength in depth, and it's not going to be easy for Essex from here as Porter comes in and bowls, and this ball's played through the offside. 2 runs, an absolute minimum here. It's going out within about 15 yards of the cover boundary. They can come back for 3, and 213 for 8. Nice shot from Stuart Pointer, moves up to 36, and the partnership now worth 69. And the sort of really extraordinary thing about it is how batsmen 9 and 10 have played so well. They resemble top order batsmen, and if we've seen 3 balls all morning beat the bat, that would be about the most it's been, as Porter is on his way again. Bowls to Salisbury, plays it firmly to Wesley at mid-off, but as I said earlier, the 2 batsmen have just done everything by the book. Lovely straight bat. They haven't played anything stupid. They haven't chased balls that they needn't play at. They've milked bowling that's too often been on middle and leg and can be just turned into the onside. So 2-1-3 for 8 remains the score. Bright sunshine at the moment. Bit chilly, but apart from that, a nice morning. Here's a good delivery from Porter, and that's a bit of a play and a miss from Matt Salisbury, but it's a rarity on this morning's play. Essex can be encouraged one way, though they've yet to prove it, and that is that the pitch appears to be playing so easily that you'd fancy the likes of Alistair Cook et al. To do very much better second innings. Terry Rowland emails, great job of commentating. I noticed the wicket has a green edge either side of the business area. Break in because Porter's bowling, and that's another good ball. Almost gets an inside edge into the stumps, but doesn't, and Salisbury survives. Terry says obviously the groundsman has cut it this way, wondering why. Yes, this point was raised for the opening game, which was similarly cut. And I think it was said that it helps to highlight the area between the 2 sets of stumps, among other possible explanations. 2-1-3 for 8. Great stuff from Durham this morning, and really very little hint of a breakthrough for Essex so far. Porter's in, bowls, defended by Salisbury. Matt Salisbury, of course, began his career here in Chelmsford. The ball played back into the offside for no run. And there are 36 to Stuart Pointer, 26 to Matt Salisbury, 213 for 8. And this off the back of 7 wickets going down in an hour for just 50 runs late yesterday evening. Welcome back, Glenn Speller.
I guess the encouragement from Essex's point of view here is that these 2 have made batting look relatively comfortable so far, so you would hope that the Essex top order will make a better fist of it second time around.
Absolutely, as Porter's in bowls, and this ball is played without timing off the pads by Salisbury to mid-on. If he had timed that, I think it would have disappeared for 4. It's 213 for 8, and if there was any thought, Glenn, that 18 wickets in a day on the first day, they have to inquire as to whether the pitch is all it might be. Well, Wayne Noon, the former Northamptonshire wicketkeeper batsman, is the cricket liaison officer here, but actually he'll have looked at a pitch today and thought, well, it'd be very hard to say there's anything wrong with that.
100%. And I think Essex have got a little bit of pondering to do here, a little bit of thinking to do to try to wheedle out these final 2 Durham wickets. But you have to say they've played quite beautifully and quite safely and quite compactly. Messrs Pointer and Salisbury, as you mentioned just a few moments ago, Paul, really a lack of any hint that either of them is in any trouble whatsoever. Just some other cricket news to bring you here. It's that Ben Stokes is out for up to 12 weeks due to that broken finger, which he's going to have surgery on. So not great news from an England perspective, not from his perspective either, in terms of his earning potential in the IPL. Simon Harmer on from this river end, plenty of flight outside off stump, and again Campbell just playing defensively, and there's no run, Pointer I should say, who has 36, and Salisbury there on 26. 213 for 8. Harmer is in once again on the sweep this time, but just the single, middled very nicely, but the man at deep backward square tidies up and they come through for the single. 214 for 8 is the Durham score.
Might be a case to be made for a little bit of left field thinking, bringing on the likes of Dan Lawrence, Tom Wesley himself.
Harmer is very quickly in again, lots of flight and slightly held back as well, but wide of off stump.
Or Paul Walter to just come from a different angle, you know, left arm over.
They need to think slightly outside of the box here, because it's looking very comfortable for this pair. Harmer again, slower and plenty of flight, just driven, but straight to the man at mid-off for no run. Hasn't quite had the effect that he had yesterday, Simon Harmer, where he took 4 wickets. And he's in again, flatter, and just played from the crease out to the offside for no run again. 214 for 8. We're in the 70th over.
Fascination of cricket. Durham have been 98 for 1, 148 for 8, and now 214 for 8.
Quicker through the air from Harmer, just angled into the onside. Ryan Tender-Scarter there at short leg, does the fielding. No run, end of the over. 70 gone now, 214 for 8. Pointer has 37, Salisbury has 26, and the Durham chat at the start of play today would have been keep them out there as long as possible, don't give your wicket away, play the ball on its merits, let's see how much of a lead we can eke out. Well, they're doing more than eking it out now, they're putting real pressure on Essex when they do get to bat again, and that top order is going to be severely tested by this excellent seam attack from Durham as well. It's not exactly a dropping of shoulders from Essex out there at the moment, but there's a little bit of chat going on in smaller groups. Sir Alistair Cook and Simon Harmer just exchanging glances. Sir Alistair Cook now chatting with Adam Wheater, and the chat is how are we going to get one of these two out, end this really quickly. What are we at now? 10 past 12, so another hour still to go of this session, Paul.
Yeah, very much so. I think lunch is probably going to be 10 past 1 as Porter's in and bowls, and Pointer plays the ball into the covers for no run. And I was saying to the cameraman Jake before play started that you wouldn't get a price on this game going into a 4th day. We were saying, you know, it might even be over in 2, but actually now you could see a way it really would go into a 4th day, because if, as Glenn was saying, the Essex batsmen second time round still find that continue to find that the conditions have eased, then they might bat for quite a long time, and then Durham might bat a long time in their second innings as this ball's run down to third man, just be a single, because there is a third man now, who is former skipper Ryan Tender-Scarter, who in short order at the end of June will reach the age of 41. Great to see him still playing. 215 for 8 with that single as Pointer moves to 38.
Old to be reaching the age of 41 again.
Yes. Yes, been nice to be on our second lap.
215 for 8 is the Durham score. Remember, resuming this morning at 148 for 8.
Porter. ground looking glorious now in this lovely sunshine. Bowls, and ball is levered very firmly but straight to Dan Lawrence in the covers, and there's no run there. Got an email from Terry Rowland who says, watching from my garden in Billingham, I think the Essex bowlers are bowling a tad full. Lovely relaxed action has Harmer, but a little full of length. Sometimes bowlers do bowl a little straight and full at lower order batsmen. Yes, I see where you're coming from, because the ball hasn't really been deviating at all from, be they quicker bowlers or turn for slower bowlers, and these Durham pair have just done everything according to the book. Porter's in bowls and nicely left there by Salisbury, and the score remains 215 for 8.
And making it look very easy, very comfortable at the moment. This Durham pair, they've batted really, really well. I think Marty was mentioning earlier on, Stuart Pointer does have a first-class century to his name. Salisbury's best is in the late 30s, so he's edging up towards that as well.
Yeah, no difficulty in believing Pointer has the capability of making a first-class 100, as the next ball is played down to mid-on. He would need the tail to wag with him, as it were, because of course he's not got too many players to bat with, but you couldn't fault him at all on what we've seen here. Nothing is more irritating for a fielding side than this sort of partnership, and what's been bewildering from an Essex point of view is just how easily the 9th wicket pair have found conditions here. They've played beautifully as Porter's on his way in. Bowls, and Salisbury off the back foot beats the dive of Ben Allison at backward point, so they can come through for a single as Tenduscarter backs up from third man. 216 for 8. That takes the lead now to 120. And even if the pitch does play much more easily when Essex bat a second time, that 120 deficit is becoming very considerable. There are 38 to Pointer and 27 to Salisbury.
Yeah, it's how long they may take to overhaul any lead as well. But obviously the concern for Essex at the moment is not even about that. It is about ending this Durham first innings as quickly as possible. While for Durham, it's extending it for as long as possible, while accruing as many runs as possible, and keeping the Essex batsmen out there and keeping them thinking as well. Simon Harmer, who's bowled unchanged this morning from this river end, is going to come around the wicket to Matthew Salisbury, and he's in once again. Still keeping this attacking field, Essex, with the slip, the leg slip and the short leg. Not that anything's gone anywhere near them this morning, other than the edge from the opening ball of the day, but that went along the ground and wide of Sir Alistair Cook's outstretched right arm, but nothing's even looked like it's going to go to hand. Harmer in again, and that goes past the outside edge, but Salisbury will probably tell you he played inside the line there.
Essex do have plenty of options they haven't used so far. We haven't seen Ben Allison, Paul Walter with his left arm over, or Tom Wesley or Dan Lawrence.
This next one from Harmer is slower, a bit more of a loop on it, but again, not really concerning Salisbury, just plays defensively out to the offside for no run.
Nor indeed Tenduscarter, who in the past has done plenty of bowling for Essex. And he's quite a good partnership breaker. I think I'd be chucking him the ball, tell him to drop it in a bit short.
Over the wicket this time from Simon Harmer, quicker, and Salisbury's just jabbing the bat down on that one, playing from the crease.
With his jerky action, Glenn, even at rising 41, we haven't really seen these two batsmen tested by a short pitch riser. I'd like to see him given a go.
Harmer's in once again. It's again just played from the crease defensively, and Ben Allison comes across to pick the ball up.
Bryden Cast for Durham picked up 2 wickets with just that sort of bang it in short and ball coming up at the batsman's shoulders.
Harmer is in again, and just slightly off the back foot on that occasion. Ryan Tenduscarter does the fielding at short leg, no run, end of the over. 216 for 8, so the lead is exactly 120 runs here for Durham. We've gone about their business very quietly and very circumspectly this morning, and are doing a really, really good job, and are putting both the county champions and the Bob Willis Trophy holders under real pressure here.
Yes, as a result of that first round of matches last week, nobody really got any significant advantage at all. There were no results in this division, which we might for the most part, called the Midlands Division, because apart from Essex and Durham, all the other 4 sides are strung across the Midlands, and nobody got a win. So there's only 2 points between so-called top of the table and bottom, but Essex would have been very much hoping to get back to winning habits, bearing in mind they've won 8 consecutive home games before the draw with Worcestershire. We are going to see Dan Lawrence. They do listen to us, and he's going to come on from the Hayes close end with his frog in the blender off-break bowling action.
2 wickets yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he may well not come off, but you've got to try something different when what you have tried hasn't worked. And this ball is short and nudged away for a single to Ben Allison coming off the deep backward point area, and that single takes Pointer along to 39, I think it should be, indeed, yes, 217 for 8 on the board.
Just to go back to that Ben Stokes news then, out for up to 12 weeks, an X-ray has revealed he will require surgery on an fracture to the left index finger.
Yes, bad luck on Ben Stokes there, but he'll be back, that's for sure, as here is Dan Lawrence. Bowls and tempted back cut, fails to locate the ball there from Matt Salisbury, and in a sense that loose delivery from Lawrence just illustrates what might happen if you try something different. Okay, it might go for 4, but sometimes batsmen who've played the good balls really well get out to a bad one. Lawrence is in again, and ball played back to the bowler, and I'm not suggesting that Dan Lawrence only bowls bad balls, because I rate him actually, not obviously as a frontline bowler, but very, very good man to have if the supposed main attack isn't coming off. And he's a thinking cricketer as well. He loves his bowling as he comes in bowls, and that's a good delivery, and he got some turn there, and it would have turned past leg stump. It wrapped Salisbury on the thigh, but again that actually it came off quickly, and just for the first time in quite a while a slight discomfort to the batsman. Got just a slip and a forward short leg as forward comes Salisbury to the next one. He's playing at that, it goes through to Wheater, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say this over has caused the batsman more problems than any we've seen for about half an hour.
Indeed, the last 2 deliveries have caused the batsman more trouble than we've seen for the last half an hour. It's good bowling from Dan Lawrence. How can he finish off?
Comes in now, bowls, and that one is just a bit shorter and easily fended off by Salisbury to forward short leg. The over ends. Durham 217 for 8, 39 and 27 respectively to Pointer and Salisbury, but even though a wicket didn't fall, certainly well worth giving Lawrence a try.
Umpire seemed to be signalling possibly for drinks to come on, and then spread his arms wide because no one seemed to be on the boundary edge ready with the refreshments or some such of the like. So we'll continue on. Scores elsewhere then. Derbyshire, Worcestershire. Derbyshire 390 all out. Worcestershire 3 for 1 in reply. Nottinghamshire against Warwickshire. Nottinghamshire 273 all out. Warwickshire 85 for 3. Both those games in this group. Simon Harmer resumes from the River End, or indeed continues. 217 for 8. Lots of flight to that one outside off stump. It does get some turn. Comes off the inner part of the face of the bat and dribbles out behind square, but there's no run. Elsewhere, Hampshire 319 all out. Like Essex, they had a double centurion in their first match in the form of James Vince. Middlesex 8 for 2 in reply. Harmer's in, that's quicker, and it's swept in front of square out onto the onside, but they'll come through for just a single as Nick Brown comes around and sweeps up. Somerset, Gloucestershire, the West Country derby. Somerset 312 all out. Gloucestershire 85 for 1. Surrey against Leicestershire. Leicestershire going well, 304 for 4 against Surrey at the Oval. Just an adjustment in the field here. Glamorgan against Sussex. Glamorgan 285 all out. Sussex 159 for 1 in reply down there in South Wales. Harmer is in once again. Silly mid-off in now, and that's pushed past the man at silly mid-off and fielded by Sam Cook at mid-off, and there is no run. Might be Jamie Porter actually. No, it's Sam Cook. As Harmer very quickly turns, tosses that one right up and on the drive this time. It's out towards extra cover. It'll be reeled in, but not before they've taken a couple of runs. 220 for 8 the Durham score goes up to, Kent 36 for 2 in reply to Yorkshire's 379 all out, and Northamptonshire, early stages of their first innings, are 4 without loss after Lancashire totalled 305.
Ben Allison now warming up fairly vigorously, so perhaps he's going to be brought into the attack sooner rather than later.
Harmer still looking for this breakthrough. Essex shorter, quicker, and pushed out to the onside. Tenderskada gets half a hand on it just to stop it, and there's no run again. 224.8. Plenty of blue sky above us. A bit more cloud has moved in, but it's very high and it's white cloud cover that we've got. This next one from Harmer, big shout here. Not out is the decision. Everyone turns and looks to the umpire and follows him as he moves out at the end of that over towards square leg. 220 for 8 is the Durham score. They lead by 124 runs.
And what was striking about that was it's the first appeal we've had for quite some time. So rarely have Essex troubled this fantastic 9th wicket partnership for Durham. And just as Essex seemed to turn the match round potentially in the last hour yesterday, so in the first hour and a half today, the Durham 9th wicket pair have taken the score from 148 for 8 to 220 for 8, 72 added. Dan Lawrence continues from the Hayes close end, bowls and slightly cross-battedly here. Ball played back to the bowler. Pointer was looking to play that through the covers, but got a thickish inside edge back to the bowler, but all along the ground, no hint of a breakthrough. 40 to Pointer. Lawrence again. Plays us very nicely clipped off the pads. Will be a single down to deep mid on. Takes the score to 221 for 8 and Pointer to 41.
And the introduction of Dan Lawrence certainly has just given a different perspective to things. Troubled the batsman a couple of times in the last over that he bowled from that Hayes close end. And again, Pointer looking to be a bit more attacking to Lawrence. He's just coming across to have a chat with Simon Harmer, Dan Lawrence, at the moment. Spinner to spinner, or spinner to part-time spinner. BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com is the way to email us. Bernard's done just that, and at BBC Essex Sport on Twitter. Martin Emerson, who's also with us, has got his own way of getting in contact, which he'll remind us of when he rejoins us for commentary. Quite a long email from Bernard, but we'll get through it, maybe once the spinners are off.
Lawrence bowls. That's a leave outside off stump, and score remaining at 221 for 8. Overall, this partnership now has put on 77 for the 9th wicket and taken the lead to 125 as Lawrence bowls again.
That's gone through everything.
Yep, that's beaten everything, running down towards the boundary away to our left, just waiting for the signal here. It's, well, in fact,
well, it's hit something, hasn't it?
It's just taken an edge apparently and gone all the way to the boundary there. So once again, Lawrence just creating a little bit more. I don't think it was a chance at all, but it was a play and nearly a miss and just flicked the edge. 225 for 8. Partnership now worth 81, and Salisbury up to 33. Lawrence bowls to him, and that's edge just past slip. It was along the ground. It wouldn't have been any sort of a chance. It's going nearly down to the third man boundary, and they come back for a comfortably run 3. So 228 for 8, and Salisbury to 36, and both the two shots there for a 4 and a 3 were fortunate. They weren't intended shots, but still Essex cannot find a breakthrough, and we've now played about an hour and 25 minutes this morning, and the scoring rate has been pretty good as well. As here the ball is swept by Pointer. That's just going to be a single out to deep square leg, and we'll take the score at the end of that over to 229 for 8, with Pointer on 42, Salisbury on 36, and a lead now, a very serious one from a Durham point of view. It started as a lead in 52 at the beginning of play today, but has now grown all the way to 133.
And at the risk of repeating ourselves, not looking in a whole heap of trouble. There was something off the bat on that occasion, but neither slip nor wicketkeeper was going to get to it. But Dan Lawrence has created the most problems of all the Essex bowlers so far this morning. But Matt Salisbury has kept Stuart Pointer very good company and has scored his share of the runs as well. Harmer is in, and that's just pushed defensively back down the pitch for no run by Pointer, who's moved on to 42 this morning. And Harmer turns at the end of his approach rather than run, and he's in once again, and off the back foot this time. It's just played defensively for no run yet again.
Yes, Simon Harmer, who so often we've seen prove unplayable on this ground, really hasn't looked very penetrative at all today.
Harmer in, plenty of flight in that one, but it drifts down the leg side, taken by Adam Wheater. No run again, 229 for 8, and they've added 81 runs this morning, have Durham. That one's up above the eye level from Harmer this time. On the sweep is Pointer, but doesn't get anywhere near enough on it and chastises himself, and it's stopped at fine leg for no addition to the score.
Yes, he plays the sweep shot quite well though. He hit it quite well, but straight to the fieldsman.
Flatter from Harmer, quicker through the air, met with a firm forward defensive, and there's no run once again. And Durham get to lunch with no loss, still 43 minutes to go. They really will feel the game is there for them to take. On the sweep this time, strikes the back of Ryan Tenderscarter fielding at short leg, so he stops any addition to the score. End of the over, 229 for 8. The Durham score after Essex won the toss, batted yesterday, and were dismissed for just 96. So Bernard's dropped us an email, bbcessexcricket@gmail.com. Says there's one important sentence in the laws of cricket which says the umpire is responsible for the score. I remember doing a match between Monks Eaton and the DSS, a team of civil servants from the offices in Long Benton and Benton in Newcastle. The venue now is where Newcastle United use for training. It was a match in August, and a temporary scoreboard was in use because the proper scoreboard was obscured by the sight screen, due to which part of the square had been prepared for the game. As Dan Lawrence is going to continue from the Hayes close end.
Comes in, bowls, and that ball is driven very pleasantly. That's going to go away for 4. A lovely shot there, and although the fieldsman set after it pretty quickly, never any hope of cutting that off. And that's a splendid shot from Matt Salisbury, who plays a nice drive with a good straight bat, and he moves up to 40 and the score to 233 for 8. At the end of this over, we'll welcome Martin Emerson back to the microphone to take my place to join Glenn Speller. And try as I have in my hour at the crease, as it were, I've been quite unable to break this partnership for Essex as Durham move into an ever-growing lead here. Currently 137. Lawrence is in, bowls, gives this plenty of air, and played down to deep mid-on for no run by Salisbury.
Bernard continues, teams were meant to have a scorer each, but few did, so I took it on myself to record the score at the end of every over using my plastic device to click the runs when scored.
Lawrence again bowls, and that's left outside off stump by Salisbury.
Says he also had the card I used for how many overs each bowler had delivered. The DSS team actually scored 179, but 2 runs were missing in the batting tally because of the regular change of the scorer.
As we see, next delivery, and this ball swatted away, and they've taken one, thought they might come back for the second as the ball goes out to Paul Walter, but in fact they don't take that. Score then up to 234 for 8, and Salisbury is beginning to catch up with Pointer. Goes up to 41, Pointer on 42. We'll now see what he can do about that. And Lawrence just asked for one minor adjustment to the field, got a slip and a forward short leg, and comes in now, 5th ball of the over, bowls, and this ball is bowled him, and that is the end of the partnership. Or is it? or was that Wheater whipping off the bails? I think it's Wheater. Apologies for misleading you, but we're slightly masked here, and yeah, he's perfectly all right. Apologies to Durham supporters for thinking they'd lost their man, and to Essex supporters for thinking that they got the breakthrough at last. He went on the sweep. Wheater, quick as a flash, must have whipped off the bails rather than the ball hitting the stumps. And so we continue, and Lawrence is in and bowls, and reverse sweep played for the first time here, and it goes for 4. So 238 for 8, and still Essex no closer to the breakthrough. 142 the lead. It's still true to say that Lawrence, if anyone looks like breaking the partnership, looks the most likely, but it hasn't happened. 238 for 8, lead of 142. Just checking. In fact, Martin, I thought, was behind us, but he isn't, so I'll sit here until he reappears. And, well, this is getting alarming from an Essex point of view.
Yeah, it certainly is, but from a Durham point of view, you may have heard the cheers from the reverse sweep as well, because they know they're right in the box seat here. Just the way the stump leant back there, we was obviously obscured by a wicketkeeper and slip fielder for that, but just the way the stump leant back at a low angle, it looked like it had bowled him, but Adam Wheater obviously taking the ball very low and just taking the stumps rather than the bails on that occasion. We'll get back to Bernard's email in a few moments' time, but Simon Harmer's going to continue from this river end. He's in now, right arm over, and that is caught by short leg. It's a little bit disappointing in the end from the point of view of Matt Salisbury. He's just dinked the ball straight into the hands of Ryan Tenduscarter at short leg, and it was all rather a bit deflating from a Durham point of view, because he batted so well, Matt Salisbury, and then just a regulation delivery from Simon Harmer, almost like catching practice, just guides it straight into Ryan Tenduscarter's hands. Matt Salisbury's gone for 41, and he's 238 for 9.
And at long last, a tail-ender looked like a tail-ender just for that one ball. It was almost so anticlimactic that Glenn and myself just looked at that for a moment, almost in disbelief that what we seemed to have seen actually had happened. Fine effort from Matt Salisbury, very well played. The partnership ends having added 94. Fantastic 94-run partnership. Just before I go and we bring Martin back in, an email at my screen. I appreciate we haven't finished Bernard's email, but this is a nice brief one. Michael Harris, I say this as a former compulsive betting man, and I mean compulsive. He says, "Hi, Paul et al. Loving the commentary chaos. I'm happy to say that I did manage to get a price on the draw last night, 40 to 1. Actually, personally, I think last night I'd have been expecting about 100 to 1, but well done for having the foresight to see that what we'd all have thought at 18 wickets first day was an impossibility might yet happen, and it may do, judging by the ease of that partnership. But I'll prepare to make way for Martin to join Glenn Speller.
Just to add to the anticlimactic nature of the dismissal of Matt Salisbury, it's 5 wickets for Simon Harmer in the innings as well. Chris Rushworth is the new batsman for Durham, and this is the final wicket now pairing for the visitors. Pointer there on 46 has batted so well, as indeed Matt Salisbury had too. But 238 for 9 already has Durham in a very, very strong position here. So it looks like Essex will be batting before lunch. Harmer is in and bowling to Rushworth, gives that plenty of air, and Rushworth just allows that to go by the off stump for no addition to the scoreline. We'll get back to Bernard's email, because it is a good one about umpires being responsible for scoring, and obviously the vagaries of club cricket, where you sometimes end up umpiring and doing about 3 or 4 other jobs at the same time as well. Harmer turns at the end, back into Rushworth, who plays very nicely defensively back down the pitch for no run. 238 for 9. And Matt Salisbury, the man born in Chelmsford, has had a nice return to his hometown / city. That's quicker from Harmer, and Rushworth plays defensively, and they'll come through for a nicely judged single as well. Just a little bit slow in the covers from Essex there. 239 for 9. The score edges up to Essex 96 all out. We'll have to make a lot better fist of it in the second if they're to put any pressure on the visitors whatsoever. Harmer into Pointer. Really whips through that one. Pointer just plays defensively for no run. 146, remember. And Harmer as his 5-wicket haul for the innings. He's in. Again quicker and again pushed out defensively for no run. 239 for 9. So to go back to Bernard's email then, he says the DSS team actually scored 179 but 2 runs were missing in the batting tally because of the regular change of scorer. The over by over score had 172 after 49 overs, so when 7 runs were added in over 50 their final total was 179. Unfortunately, Monk Seaton thought the total scored was 177, even though I knew 179 was also recorded by me. As the second innings progressed, I was more than happy to tell the fielders or batsmen what the score was and how many were needed. After their 50 overs, the visitors from the coast had scored 178, thinking they'd won. Their delight was cut short by me telling them they'd lost by 1 run. I got a negative write-up in the Monk Seaton Free newspaper the following week, but I had a card with the over-by-over scores for both teams throughout each innings. My conscience was clear as I'd done my job properly as defined by the laws of cricket. I believe even when umpiring in first-class games, the late Jackie Hampshire from Yorkshire used to keep the score despite there being official scores at his game and large scoreboards as well. It had to be 1 run, didn't it, Bernard? They couldn't have lost by 10 or 11 and it didn't matter. Dan Lawrence is back on. Here's Martin.
Lawrence bowls, left alone here by Chris Rushworth. Discussion in the restaurant last night about how many runs Durham thought they could add today. It's been a very good day for them. They were 52 ahead going into this morning and are now 143 ahead. Lawrence bowls, turned by Rushworth and punches it through the legs of short leg. Collected just around the corner by Sam Cooke at mid-wicket. Got a leg slip, short leg, first slip in place, backward point, mid-off, long on, mid-wicket, short mid-wicket, and fine leg up. That's a forward defensive from Rushworth.
What a sad demise it was of Matt Salisbury,
Yeah,
wasn't it? It was very anticlimactic and very soft, wasn't it?
Just a little tap straight to short leg. The one they appealed for before the caught behind, I was standing on the corner of the stand and never heard a thing. As Rushworth defends that one, normally you hear a little click or something. Yeah. There was nothing, there was silence. So I was surprised when they appealed. 143 the lead. Durham will be more than happy with this. How much further can they push on? Lawrence in and bowls. A little cut from Rushworth, stopped at backward point by Ben Allison, who tumbles across to his right as he collects it and his hat comes off to reveal those brown flowing locks, and he's now dropping out deep onto the boundary. Deep backward point. Lawrence comes in again and bowls. Rushworth lobs one past him and it's gone off towards the boundary at the far end of the ground and it's away 4-4. Lawrence was diving to try and snatch at that one, but I'm not sure how close it actually really got to him. And Rushworth moves on to 5 and Durham move on to 243.
And that is the end of the over as well.
So they're 7 away from a second batting point and they've got still plenty of overs left. There's 2 to the new ball, 110 overs for the bonus points, and of course Essex have now wrapped up their bonus points with the ball following the departure.
From this river end, 5 for 69 from his 32 overs. 243 for 9 is the score. Pointer on strike, 4 short of his half century. He's got a slight pause in play while Essex send 2 fielders out 3/4 of the way to the boundary on the onside. Also got Ben Allison in there, edge of the square, and they're going to send mid on out, probably getting on towards halfway to the boundary as well. Harmer is in and tossing that one right up, and well, they've invited the single and they've taken it, have Durham, and I'm not really sure that's the sort of game to be playing at this stage, to be perfectly honest with you.
Taking the single?
Well, no, from an Essex point of view of giving the single. I'm just not really sure that's, you should be playing that sort of game. Every run's going to be vital come the end of this. If I was Durham, I'd take everything that's on offer. Harmer is in again, and that's just played defensively into the onside for no run. You see it happen so much, don't you, when you watch international cricket, of trying to get the tail ender down onto strike, giving singles away here and there and everywhere, and suddenly the partnership runs up to 20 and 30 playing that sort of game. This next one from Harmer strikes the pad, but there's no appeal. And there's no run either. 244.49. Rushworth on 5, Pointer on 47, quite happy to give his partner the strike. This next one has Rushworth driving and driving very nicely through extra cover, and that'll go for 4 runs. Tossed right up there by Simon Harmer, and Rushworth having already struck down Lawrence to the boundary, this time all the way along the ground. Really good shot that. 248 for 9.
Right out the middle.
And that's why you shouldn't be giving singles and just offering the single to get the supposed weaker of the 2 batsmen on strike.
Mark Davies has described the partnership from 94 for the last wicket as madness, but then says it'll probably end in another draw. We're at such an advanced stage though, aren't we, in this game?
And so much time to go. Harmer is in once again because of yesterday's madness where the 18 wickets went down. The moment you get that sort of figure of wickets going down on the opening day, the only way you think it can be a draw is surely with the weather intervening.
Stewart says delighted to see Stewie Pointer in the runs.
Harmer in flatter, and Rushworth just plays defensively, fielded by Harmer on his follow through, and that is the end of the over. 80 gone now, so
new ball
is available if Essex decide to use it. Terry on the email says, don't you think Simon Harmer has a serious lack of variation in his bowling? And the number of wickets that he's taken would tell you that he has plenty of variation and plenty of tricks up his sleeve, and he has tried all of them today, but only the 1 wicket for Essex, and only the 1 wicket for him this morning. So the new ball has been taken.
So Durham 248 for 9.
BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com, at BBC Essex Sport on Twitter are the ways to get in touch with us. Martin's also got his own ways of you getting in touch with him too.
We're cricket at yahoo.co.uk or at Marty Cricket. Pointers on 47 here with this new ball introduced, and Sam Cooke coming back into the attack. The ball is 20th over, 2 for 51 from 19 so far, 6 maidens from him. Coming in from the far end of the ground, and Pointer plays that out nicely through deep mid wicket. He should get 2 here. No, they're only going to go for 1. Fielder quickly on that one from mid on, so that leaves Rushworth on strike and Pointer at the other end on 48.
A bit of cricket news for you. Mohammed Abbas has taken a hat-trick for Hampshire this morning against Middlesex in their match at Lord's.
He blew Durham away a couple of years ago. It was Storm Kira or something. There was some first sort of nasty storm of autumn came in. Durham bowled out for 61 and 66 at Grace Road in the same afternoon for the 2 lowest scores. He was coming down the hill, wind assisted.
I think I said it was Lord's, I said the EG's bowl, of
yeah,
course.
they're
18 for 5, Middlesex.
Oh, well done, well batted. Cook in. Rushworth has his bat raised and plays and misses at that one. Pitches outside the off stump through to the keeper. I've been taunted online this morning by Kevin Hand, the BBC Middlesex commentator, because last week I went for the full biff around my hotel room first morning, proper fry up, and I thought I can't eat this every day, I'll end up having a heart attack, so I decided to go for the Continental the next morning, and it was huge, could have fed a family. So I don't normally photograph food, but I put it on there just to look at this is for 1 person. So today Kevin has put a picture of his breakfast on the Twitter feed as Cook comes in and bowls, and Rushworth plays and misses at another one that leaves him outside the off stump. Keeper collects it. So it looked quite grandiose, and my little packed breakfast turned up in a bag, and it was well, I took a photograph of it. It's basically Cheerios in a bag. So and I tweeted a picture of that and said, a week's a long time in cricket.
Nothing wrong with Cheerios.
So Durham get 1 more run on the board here. They have their 2nd batting point, and that would have been, you would have been scratching your head if it suggested that was a possibility this morning as Cook balls, and it's the same shot again from Rushworth. He's trying to drive at every ball and playing and missing at every ball.
Just to go back to that hat-trick for Mohammed Abbas as well, And Middlesex 18 for 5. He's actually taken all 5 wickets to fall too. 4 overs, 2 maidens, 5 for 3 are his current figures. Abbott at the other end, 5 overs, none for 15, has been relatively expensive.
Well bowled.
Yeah.
Can Durham add one more run here with the number 11 in the middle? Oh, he's edged it. It's gone for a single, and there's a batting point. 2 batting points down towards third man. Well, I think Durham would have taken this without a shadow of a doubt this morning. 250 for 9. And that's taken 80.5 overs.
You say taken this might even be beyond their own expectations
Yeah.
of what they were expecting to get this morning, and probably well beyond Essex's expectations, because they would have obviously got to get the job done, but would have expected to have wrapped up this Durham innings.
They've also added 102 today. Good day for them.
Saying to Paul earlier on, the only encouragement from Essex would be that if the Durham lower order has managed to do this, they would expect, with the right application, their top order to do it.
Pointer on strike. Plays that nicely out through mid-wicket for his 50. Gone for 4. And well done. That's his 6th half century in first-class cricket. And it's coming... where am I looking? 100 balls. Strike rate of 52. 6 fours.
I think he's offered a chance in that either, has he? It's batted very nicely, very confidently, compact when he's needed to be, expansive when the ball has been there to hit, and he is leading Durham not only into a strong position, but bearing in mind the way Essex batted in the first innings, into a winning position at the moment. 254 4-9 the Durham score. That was the end of that over from Sam Cook as well, and the new ball flew off quite nicely from the middle of Stuart Pointer's bat. Simon Harmer's going to continue with the new ball in hand. Rushworth is on strike. He's already got 10. Plenty of flight there, and Rushworth drives, but it's stopped by the man at mid-off, and there's no addition to the Durham score. Harmer very quickly, ball in hand, receiving it from Jamie Porter. That's down the leg side, and Wheater gets fingertips to it to prevent it going past him, down to the fence, and Tenduscarter tidies up for no addition. 254 for 9. Durham resuming this morning on 148 for 8. Harmer into Rushworth, and Rushworth heaves that one away to full effect. It's Nick Brown giving chase and won't get there, and it's gone for 4 runs. It's not Brown, in fact, it's just disappeared under the lip of the Tom Pearce stand, but it doesn't matter in the end. Heaved away by Rushworth. He got all of it, but effective nevertheless, and it was there, and it's put away for 4 runs. 258 4-9. Rushworth goes to 14. Harmer tossing it up once again, and Rushworth playing defensively beats Tenduscarter at short leg, and they come through for a single in the Chelmsford sunshine. 259 for 9. Brings Pointer back down onto strike. Facing up to Simon Harmer on the reverse sweep this time. Pointer, it's come off something, goes, loops up into the offside. Tenduscarter flies away Superman style to his right hand side, can't get anything on it, and the upshot of it all is a dot ball, no run.
Tenduscarter there at short leg. It was like David Seaman when that ball ricocheted up over his head and he was grasping in thin air. Wasn't that the World Cup in Argentina, was it?
Here is Harmer again on the sweep, or slog sweep from Pointer, but didn't quite get all of that, and it's fielded by the man just at backward square leg, and there's no run. End of the over, 82 gone now. 259 for 9. Pointer on 52. Rushworth on 15 in reply to Essex's 96 all out.
Diving stop there from Nick Brown. Bright sunshine here. A little bit of warmth today, and the ground at the moment.
Without becoming obsessed about the Hampshire Middlesex game. Middlesex 21 for 5 now. Sam Robson's unbeaten on 15.
Declare.
Hampshire 319 all out, incidentally. If you missed it earlier, Ahmed Abbas He's taken a hat-trick and has taken all 5 wickets to fall.
In comes the bowler to bowl to Rushworth, who plays it back to Cook, and he dives on top of it, going off to his left. So Harmer's, when he got Salisbury, was his, where have I written that? It was 38th fifer. Doesn't have enough changeability in his technique, does he?
No, apparently not. No variation at all.
No variation, that was the word. Cook in again to Rushworth. Rushworth plays that into the stumps at the bowler's end, and it knocks one of them out the ground. You should get points for that, rather than runs.
Should be some kind of, because look at my technique. Look how straight I'm batting. Dean on email, bbcscricket@gmail.com, says, morning Glenn and the rest of the team. Early finish today, watching the cricket before a big game for the Blues tomorrow. Says he's chilling watching the cricket. A big game for Southend United tomorrow. More on that in a sec.
In comes the bowler, edged, and that is the end of the innings. Rushworth is caught by Alistair Cook at first slip. Rushworth got him out yesterday for 7, I think it was. 6 it was. And Rushworth has gone today for 15. Durham all out for 259 and a lead of 163.
Nice low catch in the end from Alistair Cook, taking it bootlace height, but he's got to go back and strap the pads on now. Essex eventually end this Durham first innings. They've added 111 runs this morning for the loss of 2 wickets. Pointer finishes unbeaten on 52. Rushworth goes for 15. Matt Salisbury, the other man to go this morning, for 41. Simon Harmer, his first 5 foot of the season, and as Martin was just mentioning, his 38th in all. But Essex in the hole here, and are going to have to bat really, really well to dig themselves out of this one. 259 for 9 is what Durham close on. Just to go back to Dean's email while Martin's recording all the details. Says early finish today, chilling watching the cricket before a big game for Southend tomorrow. The wicket seems to be getting better, but Essex will need 350 plus to have a chance in this, methinks. Might even need more than that, Dean, as well, especially the way Durham have made that batting look. But all done here, 259 for 9.
Yes, 163 the lead. Durham will be more than happy with that. Tony has emailed. Tony Gordon says, very impressed with the amount of fight and general grit of this year's Durham team. Yet again, here they are fighting to the last man. Pointer in Salisbury. Can you remember him, Mike? No. He says, hi chaps, great commentary as always. He said, I did my level 1 and 2 umpiring badges about 4 years ago. In my first game umpiring the Northumberland and Tyneside Cricket League, I got some awful abuse from players on both teams and didn't umpire again that season. Thankfully the following year I decided to give it another go and had a great time umpiring at Whitley Bay Cricket Club. My best piece of advice for a new umpire would be, if in doubt, talk to your colleague. She has another set of eyes and ears and is probably the only other person on the field that actually knows the laws of the game. Yeah, it's amazing how many don't. Donata Dalton, batsman marking their guard. Perhaps you can explain something for me. Batsmen taking their guard and then making a run in the pitch. I've always wondered why 3 lines are not painted at right angles to the stumps, to the crease line, so that they don't need to damage the pitch. Thanks for your commentary. I love having it on while I get on with things. Yeah, you could have the lines running straight up from the stumps to the edge of the crease, but the problem is they get worn away. There's so many batsmen there with the foot marks and everything else, and the bowler's marks, they'd quickly get worn away. So then what do you have? You have people coming on to try and replace them regularly. Rob Jones says, really enjoying the live stream coverage. The commentary along the pictures is great. There seem to be promising signs of a revival in Durham's batting this year. Very early days, but if more resilient batting could be matched with existing bowling attacks, then the future is looking bright. Keep up the great work, says Rob.
Paul on the emails, bbcscricket@gmail.com. He's in Bradfield in Manningtree, nice part of the world. If you ever get to go to Manningtree, it's quite nice around there as well.
Yeah, I've been there.
On the Essex-Suffolk border. Without assuming we'll lose, says Paul, from an Essex perspective, I'm wondering when Essex last lost a 4-day game at home. I can't think of any after the Yorkshire game at the beginning of the 2018 season where we bowled them out for nothing on the first morning. Yeah, Joe Root got a first bowler that morning. Then we were all out by tea ourselves before Yorkshire smashed a huge total in their second innings. Have we lost at home since? Well, yes, Paul. Essex have lost at home since,
Yeah.
indeed, the same season when they were hammered here by Nottinghamshire by 301 runs back in 2018. But such has been Essex's excellent home form. It was 11 straight home wins before Worcestershire held them to a draw here.
Do you know how many games ago that was?
Go on.
28 matches since Nottinghamshire have not won. So that was Notts' last win in first class cricket.
Well, Essex will have Nottinghamshire again this year because, like Durham, they're in the same group. Breaking innings here, 259 all out was the Durham score. 111 runs added this morning, and a big lead for them to go into the Essex second innings, which means they can set attacking fields, they can go out there, go for wickets. Lunch is due at 1:10. Don't forget adding on a few overs to each day, because there will be a break in play if we get that far tomorrow afternoon while the funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh is ongoing. BBC Essex Cricket at gmail.com, at
Just,
BBC Essex Sport on
trying
Twitter.
to get up the bowling figures for us here. Where are we? Scorecard.
Joined by Andre Neil at the end of a very, very interesting first day here at Chelmsford. If the game meandered last week to a draw to go to Worcestershire, I don't think that's likely to happen unless the weather intervenes. It was full of surprises on a dramatic day, wasn't it, Andre?
Yeah, it was an interesting day. Probably not the day we wanted after winning the toss and getting bowled out quite cheaply. But I thought the bowlers scrapped well and came back nicely and got us into a position where we've got a chance. And I think it's a typical Essex way. We sort of look at the game and we keep on scrapping and we're coming back. And hopefully tomorrow morning we have a good start to the day, bowl them out quite quickly and restrict the lead as much as possible. And then set off and bat properly and hopefully get a nice lead and then scrap again to get the 10 wickets for the win, hopefully. So that'll be ideal if it goes that way, but it never does. So let's hope for a good day tomorrow.
What was the thinking behind at the start of the day? Obviously, winning the toss, we decided to bat. Did we think that, as is typical at Chelmsford, it'd do a little bit in the morning and then perhaps play easier? But perhaps it did a little bit too much in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's normally the way. Yeah, if you get in, you're going to expect it's going to do something. You have to bat well in all conditions and everywhere you go and play. The first session on the first day is quite hard to bat on, and you have to be disciplined. And I think we sort of let ourselves down a few soft dismissals possibly. But they also bowled well. I thought Durham bowled really good lengths and they bowled fuller than normal and that's probably a good way here. And they bowled well and they got to take the credit for that also. But those things happen, and like I said, we didn't bat as well as we wanted to. But again, we sort of scrapped and we in the game at the end of day one.
Interesting, isn't it, that you mentioned the Durham attack there, pace bowlers, and they did all bowl well. They all took a share of the wickets. Sam Cook did his bit early on for us. And then Simon Harmer and Dan Lawrence accounting for 6 of the wickets, which you wouldn't have thought that was a spinner's track out there today.
Yeah, I think but we also used to Army doing some incredible things here on the first or second day. He spins on most things, so you don't expect anything less of Army. It's nice that Dan chipped in with 2 wickets at the end then and really put us back into the game kind of thing, getting those 2 wickets, and especially Borthwick, who played really, really well. And at that stage, it was a crucial wicket to get him out and some fresh faces tomorrow morning. If he came back and he was still in, he could have been quite dangerous. Out of the 144 runs, he scored 100 runs. So it sees the big part he's played in their innings. So it's a big wicket for us. And so hopefully tomorrow morning we come back, whoever takes the 2 wickets as quick as possible and then let us get batting and hopefully bat well.
Yeah, and I mean, that last session really brought us back into the game, didn't it? Because the way Borthwick was batting, it was all on us to Durham, and Essex weren't going to get a look in. But we showed true character, typical Essex character. And as you say, we're right back in it. A couple of decent partnerships at the top of the order, and it's very much game on, isn't it?
I think so. And one thing to note is I think also with they put the heavy roller on, it seemed to sort of help the wicket and flatten out slightly more. And it moved, but it didn't move as much possibly when we bowled second. We possibly missed occasionally slightly fuller than normal. But those happen. I think we probably tried to get early cheap wickets, and that caused us to bowl slightly fuller. But if you can come back tomorrow morning, take those 2 wickets, bat well, and could set up an interesting game, a good scrap. It would be a good win from the position we were in after our batting today.
Essex skittled for 96 as Borthwick Ton piles on the pain. After first round draws with a culmination of 4 days' work for both of these sides, champions Essex then hosted Durham, looking to stamp some authority on their title defence with a first win of the season. But they'd be forced to do so without Nick Brown. Out early, third ball to Chris Rushworth, first strike to the visitors. The start didn't get much better though. Captain and last week's double 100 hero Tom Wesley was removed for just 4. And then Alistair Cook followed, pinned to the crease, out LBW for 6. The carnage continued with 2 in 1 cast over. Walter went first. And then Tendescata joined him back in the hutch, just 3 balls later. He got his body out of the way, but forgot to take the bat with him. The home side went past 50, with Dan Lawrence still at the crease, playing some distinctive shots. And at the other end, Adam Wheater was playing some of his own, never mind the score, and that would take Essex to 74 for 5 at lunch. Durham were back at it after the break though. Wheater's eye-catching innings was ended in its infancy. And then Dan Lawrence, Essex's leading light thus far, fell to Salisbury, the hosts now relying on their bowlers to breach 3 figures. Harmer fiddled with one outside his off stump to depart for a duck,